What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast, backed by 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 129 are open. Joining me this week is Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo Guru. How we going, my friend?
I am very well, Drew. Very well. Thank you for having me back, man. It's been a while, but we're here to take the House of Mario back. We're gonna make it awesome.
Yeah, so I last had you on the major direct of last year to start off the year. So it's almost been a year, I think.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's
So
too long.
I have to
wait, stop. It's too long. It's way too long. We can't.
It was.
We can't
I
wait.
need to have you on a couple more
And
things.
here's the thing. This is what we got to do. Next time, I got to bring you my way. All right. So I got to bring you on something that I do, and then that way we can, I got, me. I'm very ugly, okay? So whenever I can get a good-looking chap to come on and raise my ratings, I'm all about it. So there you go.
Put me in all the thumbnails, do what you got to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have to give you a really good intro because every time you're streaming over on twitch.tv/Nintendo Gurus, whenever I go on the chat like, hey guys, what's going on? You always go, oh, it's Drew, how you going? He does a Nintendo show. You should go and check it out. And every single time, I'm like blushing, just like in front of my TV or my computer, just like, oh.
Listen, man, there's not a whole lot of people that I admire and I like. Very few. I act like I like everybody, but I'm just kidding. No, I've collected a great group of friends over this time. So whenever I see somebody pop in, I'm like, I got to give this guy the proper shout out because. I consider you a friend, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun to have someone not only podcast but do it really well. You guys kill it, man. You guys really do. So, gotta give you props when I can.
Yeah, likewise to you and Sean. Like, absolutely love the podcast you do, and you've started a brand new Nintendo podcast this week.
Yes,
Cuppa Joe and Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So, I guess before we start off, what are you all about? What are your shows about? Okay. On Twitch and all of that.
So Twitch is basically streaming. I mean, that's just that's just me hanging out with the community. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Saturday, just hanging out with the people that I consider to be friends, just playing some games, Nintendo games, and just having a good time. So that's basically what Twitch is. Then I have two podcasts now. I've actually cut way back. I'm only doing two podcasts now, and that is Nintendo Talk. That I do with my good friend Patrick McNamara, Nintendo Talk. And basically Nintendo Talk is, it's a formatted podcast. So we have our news, we have our topics, we break it all down. We do this thing called Geek Outs, which is just something what you're excited about. And then Sean and we used to do a podcast called If We Ran Nintendo. We just shut it down this past week. And it was I feel like a pretty successful podcast. It's been around for almost 4 years. But we just felt very uninspired. When we started the podcast, we started it when the Wii U was basically dive bombing into the ground and not really doing that well. And it was very easy to have topics week in, week out, and no big deal to really just talk about things. But after 4 years, and the Switch is doing very well, we just felt like we needed to do something different. So I had initially was going to do this show by myself. It was going to be a YouTube show that I was going to do. And I was like, I like the name of Cuppa Joe and Nintendo. And so when Sean and I were kicking around ideas, we were like, we have a Patreon exclusive podcast as well called You Me Capri. And during that, I was like, we should try to do something very similar to You Me Capri. Like, You Me Capri is just basically, we don't talk about any games. We just go. But we wanted to do something that was Nintendo-centric. Because Sean, he has the Xbox Drive. But he felt like doing a Nintendo podcast inspired him and pushed him to play more Nintendo games. So he wanted to continue down that. And I was like, okay. So I threw out, a Cuppa Joe and Nintendo. And basically, what the feel and the vibe is that we're trying to create is just two guys that are friends that are just hanging out in a coffee shop. And we're not. He's in Canada. I'm in New Jersey, United States. And were total different ends of the spectrum. So the idea was, let's just give that feel and that vibe. Like, we don't do like the whole, hey, what's up, everybody? Blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't do that. We don't do anything. It's just real chill. We just start the conversation off as we're talking. Like, the show starts as we're talking. And even at the end, like when you would typically do like your, check us out on Twitch and Patreon and Twitter and all that stuff. And like, that's all done by a friend of mine. She recorded it all for me, and so every week that's what we do. So we wanted to make it feel like a television show or something totally different than what the norm is. So that's where we're at with that stuff.
Yeah, and like when you first explained like that if We Run Nintendo's going away, and you're saying like it's hard coming up with topics, it made me think like, yeah, that would be hard every week.
Yeah.
Especially now that, we're out of like the real dire situation we were in, 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and with the news show just being so chill, and like, that's what I really enjoy about your podcast. Just, you and Sean are just you're just really very likable people. I was actually talking about it the other night with Seamus. Seamus Mullins was over.
Oh, get out of here, really?
And we were talking about all sorts of podcasts. We were talking about Kind of Funny and all the shows we're talking about. And I said, oh, well, Bobby and Sean, they actually started up a new podcast, and he hadn't heard of it yet. So I showed him. He's like, yeah, it's a really great idea that you're sort of going with, what makes you guys special. And that's just like your good friends, catching up, talking about Nintendo and having a good time. Because, that's what, we're all about, really. Like this Nintendo community.
Exactly.
Just about loving Nintendo games and having a chat about them.
Exactly. And I think the key to it all is we have a formatted show, but the idea is to make you feel like it's not formatted, that we're just sitting down talking. Yeah. So it's just a natural conversation, which we are very good at doing. Him and I can really connect and click and have a good conversation. But the idea was, we didn't want to do like, we do want to do news and topics and stuff, but we don't want it to be like, okay, time for the news or anything like that. Like, so that's the whole premise.
And when you said that, like, this show is, I'm looking at different segments and different structure for this year, and like, I want to have like, this is the news and this is this and this is that. But like when you put that in my head, I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to be like, okay, now it's the news or whatever. I'm going to try and work on making it seem more natural. Yeah. More of a natural transition.
Yeah.
Whether we'll get that this episode, I don't know, but I'll work on it. I'll work on it. So I guess you're playing Luigi's Mansion 3 on stream. You're playing the multiplayer.
Yeah, Scare Scraper.
Did you have much experience playing that, or was that one of the first times you're playing it? Because like personally, I haven't even touched the multiplayer. Yeah. Just because whenever I jump into it, it's always the single player stuff.
First time I ever played Scare Scraper. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And the idea is that you get 4 people basically in a mansion, and you have 5 floors to clear. And each floor has a different tactical mission, like catch this many ghosts or collect this much money. And so I was playing tonight on stream with a bunch of people, and it is hard. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that hard. The timer is very low. The timer's like 3 minutes. And it's basically no business. Like, no BS. You got to get in, and it's all business. You got to go in and try to find what you got to find. But I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was a blast. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, because when they announced the DLC, like, that there's more stuff coming to the multiplayer stuff and the minigames, I sort of just, like, brushed it aside because I'm not interested in it, like, that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be something I would be keen to give a little bit of a go. But yeah, I still got a lot to sort of get all the gems and everything in the main story.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
I just want to do that.
I haven't even beat the main story yet. You know what I mean? Like I got pulled away pretty quickly from that game and started playing other stuff. So I definitely got to go back because I do want to beat Luigi's Mansion, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was a bit slow getting through it, and then Pokemon came out, and that dominated, the 2 months of my life.
Yeah, you're right, man. Pokemon, because Pokemon was like, 3 weeks later or whatever?
Yeah.
Sometimes the timing, like I really feel like Luigi's Mansion should have came out in the beginning of October. It's like a Halloween type game, like a scary type, not scary, but you know what I mean, like you're ghost hunting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would have been nice to have that the whole month of October and not feel like I got to get out of this because I got to go play Pokemon now. So
Yeah, it makes sense for it to come out on Halloween, but at the same time, it'd be cooler if it came out to sort of like on the lead up to it.
Yeah.
To actually like get in the mood for it and celebrate it that way.
Exactly.
So I feel like when you're waiting for Christmas, for example, like most of the fun is the lead up to Christmas, all of the lights and everything. If everybody just put up their Christmas lights on Christmas Day, then that was it.
Exactly.
Then it's over.
It's a waste.
Like it's just there.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's what I felt the same thing should have been with Luigi's Mansion, not come out on Halloween. Like, you know, and they did the same thing, I feel. They did the same thing to ARMS. They dropped ARMS, a month later, here comes Splatoon 2. And it's like, sometimes Nintendo they feel pretty dumb with their launching of games and how they do stuff like that. Like, I'm sure statistically they have their reasons behind it, and they look at it statistically and go like, hey, this is a good time to put a game out. But like, logistically, it just, from a gamer standpoint, it just makes no sense to me. Because you get the game, and then like, you know, if you don't beat the game within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like, you have another game that you really want to play right on top of you. And I got, you know, Pokemon, I enjoyed it, man. It really pulled me way away from Luigi's Mansion. So, we'll see.
Yeah, because you weren't typically a Pokemon player?
Never played, So, okay, I played X and Y a little bit. Very, very little bit. Stopped playing it, and I was like, not really a fan. Couldn't really figure out everything. Then Pokemon Go hit. And that really, man, like I started playing with friends and like running around and doing raids and just going to different stuff. And like it really sucked me in. And I was like, this is cool, but I like to have a story with it. So then Let's Go came out and I bought that. And I got to like, I think the fourth gym. And I was like, this is kind of cool, man. But I didn't like the whole catch mechanic. Like I didn't like that you had to catch them like you do in Pokemon Go. Yep. And then, so I was like, okay, when Shield comes out, I'm going to give Shield a legitimate chance. Sword and Shield. I'm going to give it a legitimate chance and go after it. So I played Sword through the whole campaign, and I loved it. I thought it was so good. You know, there was things I did. I have critiques about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that weren't, like, blew me away. But, like, for the first time really going in and beating it and playing it, I was like, this is actually really good. You know, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's really cool to hear too. Like, you know, especially with all of like the controversy and all the stuff going around the game, because it did turn out to be a really, you know, fun but flawed game. Yeah, but I'm really happy that you know, someone like yourself could come into the game and finish it and really enjoy your time with it. Are you still playing it, or is it just finished and put into the pile and moved on to the next thing? Or?
Well, because there's so much stuff to play right now. And a lot of my playtime is limited to streams. And that's not really true. I mean, you do have the raids you could do. And I had a blast doing the raids with the community. I mean, maybe that's something I'll go back and do. I haven't completed the Pokedex, so I have to do that. But
you have to.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, technically you don't have to. They did stop the whole got to catch them all thing, you know. But I do want to go back. I want to play it because I feel like it's just really cool. So for me, and I think that people really got off into a tangent with the game itself, and they were looking at certain things and having issues with some stupid things with it. But for me, I look at it and I go like the Wildlands. Like, dude, that was so amazing. Like to go out there and just kind of free flow and go where you want. Now, look, I'm not 100% on board with how they are. You know, where how like this patch has this type of Pokemon, this patch has these Pokemon. It would be kind of better if it was just random and sporadic. Just, you know, I would prefer a game that's like that, like wide open like that, where you can just run where you want to go, and then like you have a map and you can kind of not like when you get into the map parts where it's like tunnel vision, where it's like you got to go this way. It's very lineal. I liked it when it was open and I could run where I wanted to go and do what I wanted to do. So hopefully moving forward, they start to dip into that way of playing than the way they did, in this one. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But so far, so good.
Because, once you finish the game, you're pretty much just always in the wild area. That is where you spend all of your time. You barely go back to these routes. Yeah. And, from what they've shown of the DLC coming, June and late year, that's all based around, a wild area type of...
Absolutely.
Mechanism.
Which I love. That's what has me excited for the DLC. Because I'm like, this is more of what I enjoyed with Pokemon Shield or Sword. Same thing. So for me, that's what had me excited. That's what I enjoyed. So I was like, if I'm getting more of that, then I'm on board. And, so.
Yeah, so you reckon you'll get the DLC?
Oh, I'm definitely. I didn't buy it yet, but I'm definitely going to buy it. And I feel like, here's the thing. I don't know if you're ready to talk about this or not, but are you ready to get into this? Or you want to, are we holding for a second?
Yeah, no, we can jump straight into it.
Okay, so my thing is this, with the controversies that are going around and people are all upset about it, as a non-Pokemon fan, I love what they're doing. Because what would we typically get right now? I'm not a Pokemon fan, but I pay attention enough to know, right? So we got Sun and Moon, right? Okay, cool, whatever. And then we got Ultra Sun and Moon after that. And which is basically a carbon copy of the game with a couple of extra things to do. And you get maybe another 10 hours out of it, 20 hours extra additional gameplay. And it's okay, and you get all the Pokemon. Big deal. What I like about this is they only gave us 400 Pokemon out the gate. A more catchable, feasible chunk to take down, right? Then we get the second grouping, and we get another package in June, and it's we'll be able to then actually play more and spend more time and explore and go through a whole, almost like you're doing the game over again to some degree. They have some storyline content and stuff in there, plus more wildlands, and you get to run around and do all that stuff. And then you go in fall, you get another chunk. And the pricing is a little out of line for me. I think the pricing is a little whack. Because what is it, 30 per?
Yeah. It's just 30 American and you get both.
Okay. But if you buy both, if you want both sides, because they did do that. They made them exclusive. They put Pokemon...
There's one for Sword and there's one for Shield.
Yes. And there's exclusive Pokemon in each. And I think exclusive gear as well in each. So that's neither here nor there. But even if $60 isn't that bad for 2 packs, 2 expansions and all that, I'll probably just stick with the Sword one because that's the one I played. Because I didn't really play Shield. I was going to, but the only reason I was going to was I was actually going to start Shield on my Switch Lite, so that way I could get another starter and then trade them.
Yeah.
And then get another starter and then trade them. But I was like, I don't feel like playing all that stupid dialogue and listening to this idiot that's supposed to be my rival. I wanted to slap him midway through the game.
Really?
I couldn't stand that.
I quite liked Hop. I think he turned out to be quite a sweet character.
I couldn't stand him. I just wanted to punch him in the throat every time I see him.
But I was actually really, 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 really excited about the DLC. I've been wanting DLC for the Pokemon series for years. Yeah. Like you said about Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they announced that just after Sun and Moon come out and released it not even a year later. Yeah. And those games, they were a remix, a couple of new Pokemon in there, and a little bit of stuff post game that was different. Yeah. But it was a real eye opener for me, being all right, this is a little bit too much. At least back in the day, Pokemon Emerald coming out after Ruby and Sapphire, that came in a couple of years after, and it added a decent amount. And I was a kid back then, so obviously I was looking at it differently. Yeah. But yeah, just with those games, it's all right, I don't really... you're making it hard for me to spend my money, and Pokemon's the type of series where I'm just throwing my wallet at the TV screen type of thing.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you look at this realistically, right, you could get these 2 expansions and then Home comes out next February, correct?
Yeah, it comes out in a month's time or so.
So I think, in theory, Home comes out, and then you can... so Home comes out this year in February.
Yeah, this year, yeah.
So will you be... But we really don't know what Home is completely, right?
Not really. We know it's going to be paid because at the bottom it said it's going to be a paid app, and we know it's going to be able to. You're going to be able to put your Pokemon in there, like Pokemon Bank was like on the 3DS. But any other features apart from that, we don't know.
So whether we're able to take them out and put them into this game, we're not sure about. Because they haven't necessarily said that yet, right? They just said you couldn't import them from the bank, right?
Yeah, you can import them into the bank, into Pokemon Home. Then from Pokemon Home, they'll be able to go in and out of Pokemon Shield.
So, I mean, in theory...
If they're supported.
Yeah, that's what people wanted anyway. So, they took the long way to get there. But, I mean, I can't be... For me, I don't see the problem with that. But again, I don't have bank. I don't have years and years and years of collecting. So I get it to some degree. I don't get it to another degree. So hopefully it gets fixed.
Yeah. Like, they're adding 200 Pokemon, 50 of which are going to be like the legendary Pokemon that they're adding.
Okay.
So by the time like actual evolution lines of like, you know, each Pokemon's got 3 evolution lines, there's probably not going to be that many Pokemon that are being added, like realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if a Pokemon has 3 evolutions and there's 150, that might be like, you know, say 50 or 60 actual Pokemon you're going to use in battle.
Yeah.
For example. But to be honest, like now I'm just like, I've accepted it. You know, Pokemon are being restricted in the games. That's how it is. I'm not angry about it anymore. And, you know, with this podcast, we have gone on record. We've got an episode from last year about June, like actual titled "Bring Back National Dex."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And that was before it had a real negative connotation. We were just talking about like the history in the Pokemon series, how, you know, like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, they just added nothing. We're seeing shortcuts being taken on these games. The development time isn't long enough from what we can tell, and now that this big cut was happening, it was just a straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have just have taken it and just ran way too far with it.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Here's the problem I have. Because I wonder who's really crying, who's really upset. Is it real, true Pokemon fans? Or is it just people that just want to scream into the ether and just scream white noise? Because the game sold like gangbusters, man.
Yeah.
The game sold like crazy. It broke records of like launch day Pokemon sales. So like, how does that even happen? If it's, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand it. So I think that what they're setting up to do is really pretty good. Because here's the thing. We hit the fall, we get that expansion pack. Who's to say next year that we don't get 2 more packs for 2 more areas? While on the backside, they are building the next game. You know? Like, so
yeah.
I think that the next game, because I don't care what anybody says, this game was not built for the Switch. This game was not built from the ground up for the Switch. This game was being built for the 3DS, and then they pivoted when NX got announced and when Switch got announced. So I don't think that I don't believe that by any stretch of the imagination that this game was built for the ground up for the Switch. So my heart says the next version will probably be the version that people are really excited for. The one that they were hoping that we would get on this one. So we'll see.
Yeah. I do think it was built for Switch, but it was using like 3DS, like the 3DS from Sun and Moon assets and
engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can see, like, you know, just the characters and everything are very similar.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a HD polish on these games, but like with Sun and Moon, if that's running in an emulator on PC, running at, you know, 1080, it looks really nice. It looks like similar to Sword and Shield.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's like texture packs and everything you can put on them, and just like if you like take away the shadows and that, like it just like looks real crisp and nice, similar to what Sword and Shield's doing. But yeah, I'm really happy with the games. They're not perfect, but I'm ecstatic that there's DLC that I can continue playing, because I've put 150 hours into these games. I put 50 hours into the game on the first weekend, and like now it's getting to the point where I was like, all right, I would like a bit of at least a scenery change, something a bit different to look at, if anything.
Yeah.
So going to like a beach setting and a snow setting, which is really cool actually, the snow setting, because that's like basically like going up to Scotland from the UK.
Yeah.
So that I really like that. I like the sort of just the world building and the new characters and everything, and looking forward to getting into it.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah. And in that direct, they also talked about Mystery Dungeon, a remake of the very first one. Did you ever play the Mystery Dungeon series?
Never. Again, Pokemon was not my thing. It basically, for me, it hit. I was at the age where it was like, if I was probably 2 years younger, it would have sucked me in. But I was just at that age where I was just like, man, this is too kiddie for me. I got to go the other way. They had the cartoon on TV and all that stuff, and I was just like, yeah, no. And all the people I watched playing it were like real little kids. And I was like, I can't. I got to stay away from this. Yeah. So, so I distanced myself from it. So every game that came out that was Pokemon related, I just thought, this is dumb. This is for kids. I'm not messing with it. And let's be honest, all video games are for kids, so it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, I see people getting excited about this, but I have no nostalgia for it at all. So I will get the demo. I will try it. We'll see what happens. I might fall in love with it. Who knows?
It's like pretty standard gameplay. You go through dungeons which are randomly generated, and you've got to find the ladder and like battle Pokemon as you go through it. For me, it's a really good like put something on the TV and just like go through a dungeon type of game. And like the story and that's like it's very kiddie, but it's actually quite sweet as well. So you might get a kick out of it. The only thing is, it's a full price game, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend, but I will. But I don't really want to spend that much money on it, because it's $80 Australian, and I assume it's 60 US.
For me, yeah. I don't understand this philosophy that Nintendo's doing right now, where they're charging full price, full $60 retail in the United States for games like this and Link's Awakening, when like even when it launched originally, it wasn't a $60 game. It was a $30, $40 game. So it's like, why are you charging $60 for something just because you can get away with it? It's I don't know. I'm not a fan of the tactics. Yeah,
like I think like for like Link's Awakening, Kirby, this Mystery Dungeon remake, like $40 US would be like the perfect point for it, because
I agree.
Because they are, I don't want to say lesser games, but just they're not up there with the AAA Nintendo games, like even like Mario Kart or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like they're not up there with them. And I guess you could make the point, well, Breath of the Wild should be $100 or something like that, if that's the way you want to go. But yeah, I just like when I look at these games, like with Kirby, like I would have been keen just to jump into it, but for 80 Australian, I'm like, no way.
And that game, the sad thing about that game, because I did buy that, because
you did. All right.
I did.
You hate Kirby, don't you?
That'll be the last one I buy. Anyway, that game basically plays itself, man. It's like this is baby mode to the core, man. Like it doesn't even feel like you don't die. You can't. It's like I don't know. We waste too much time on Kirby games. Nintendo needs to put more development time in other games and back off the Kirby.
Yeah, because I know like a friend of mine, he said that he really enjoyed it because he got it and played through with it with his girlfriend, and they had a really good time. So I could see if you're playing through it with like 3 or 2 people, it would be probably a lot of fun. But just playing with it just by yourself, and you got like these CPUs just following you, it's like
be a bit much.
All right. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions came out actually today as of recording. I have not played the game, but I just want to go through sort of some of its scores on Metacritic. So it's sitting in 80 at the moment. And I guess I'll just read the summary of the game for people that are like, what is this? Mm-hmm. And this was a game from the Wii U. It was a port, and this is an enhanced version. It's got an extra song and stuff like that. And it's basically Fire Emblem crossed with what's the pronunciation?
Temagami Sensei.
Jesus, I'm tripping over my tongue. Temagami Sensei, which is like a RPG, JRPG.
Yes.
And the summary for the game is the worlds of the Fire Emblem series and the Atlas games have crossed paths again, and as a result, is coming to Nintendo Switch system. An interdimensional evil has invaded modern-day Tokyo, resulting in this fantastical barrage of music, style, and yes, danger. So fight back. Fight through dungeons to pump up your strategy and creativity and decimate your foreseeable foes. And you get the idea.
Yeah.
I clicked on more, and it's just like this 2-paragraph thing. I'm like, all right, I don't have to read all that. It's a JRPG. It's based around music. It's got Fire Emblem stuff in it.
Here's the thing: if you are a fan of Persona, and you want a Persona game on the Switch, this is very close to a Persona game. This is as close to a Persona game as we're probably going to get on the Switch, because they do a thing where in Persona you have personas, right? That you do. This has the Mirage, and there's something else that it is. But essentially, what it is if you played other JRPGs, there's always this magical power where you can summon these beasts to fight for you. In this, what you're doing is you're summoning back Fire Emblem characters from the past, and it's really cool how they integrated the two. It's quirky, it's weird in that term, in that sense of the word, or that sense of the gameplay, because you're just like, man, why is this? Why would you pull back Fire Emblem characters? But it's done in such a way that it's really, really good. Other than, I think in the Persona games, I think they're students, or they're actors, or they're trying to be actors, or going to school. This, you're basically trying to become a musician. So there's the lead character, one of the girls, are trying to be a musician, and you're trying to help them and do all this stuff. So it's really well done, man. It's really cool. I don't know, other than the extra song, what the point of this whole, thing is. I know that they cut some stuff back, which there was some controversy when this game came out originally on the Wii U, because there was the women were kind of more endowed in the Japanese version, and then in the every rest of the world, it was kind of, they were cut back. And for some reason, people lost their minds about that and got upset about it. In this version, it's the cutback version. Everybody gets the cutback version across the board. So, and I know people are upset about that already because they thought, well, we could get...
Yeah, the Japanese got really upset.
Yeah.
That they were getting the censored version.
Yeah, and I think even Americans were getting upset because they thought they could import the Japanese version now and actually play it. And it's like, God, guys, just stop. They're kids. They're teenagers, man. It's like, it's a little creepy. So just, but whatever. To each their own. But it's a really good game, man. It's a really good game.
Yeah. I'm keen to play it. I really enjoy, this, the J-pop side of things. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy, the rhythm games, like the Hatsune Miku series and stuff like that. Just, listening to, the catchy music and all that.
Yeah.
So, that's what sort of gets my attention for this over, say, other RPGs I need to play. I've got Dragon Quest XI and all this stuff just sitting in the background.
Yeah.
And then there's this other one where I'm like, yeah, maybe might play this because there's some fun music in there.
Yeah, it is. There definitely is. I'm sitting here now. I'm looking at my download time. I've been downloading for a while now. I got another, actually only 27 minutes left, and the game will be downloaded. But for me, it's Thursday. So I will be able to play it till tomorrow or till midnight. So,
right, yeah.
I have another 3 hours before I can play it. Whatever, it's fine. I'll play it tomorrow.
It's actually really funny. Like when I was watching all the content leading up to Pokemon, everyone was making Australian accounts because we're the first place in the world. Maybe New Zealand. I'm not sure exactly what their time zone is either, but we're like one of the first places like to get stuff now that it's all digital. Because it never used to be like that. I remember when I was a kid, there used to be like a 3-month gap between US and like Australia. Like with the Game Boy Advance games, it's like Pokemon Fire Red Leaf Green. They were 3 months after the US.
I did. I actually created a Australian iTunes account so I could get Animal Crossing when that launched.
Not nice.
But then I got scared because they started like zapping accounts that did that, and I was like, real quickly, I got rid of my account real fast because like they ain't getting me, man. I'm out. Like it's fine. I don't need to play this. So it's funny. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Can you download it and just like log off, then like go on to your normal?
No, it wouldn't carry over. Like you couldn't play it. You could, but it was locking you out because it wasn't for some reason. It was weird. So. Who knows? Yeah,
like Pocket Camp. I actually got into that for a little bit, but I sort of just dropped off of it because I just got bored.
Wasn't that good? It wasn't that good.
I really enjoy just like leveling up, just like talking to everyone, doing the thing all the time, getting XP, just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it was real. I mean, it's a mobile game. It's a typical mobile game. Yeah. It wasn't enough to get you really excited, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mainly just play Pokemon Go. That's my mobile game. I sort of really gotten back into that.
It's a good game.
Lately, because like I live in a small rural town, and when that game was like early in its life, there was like not much to do in it. But now people have reached level 40. They can start like submitting Pokestops and gyms.
Yeah.
So there's actually like a little bit more stuff to do, so you can actually play it properly now.
Yeah, that's the thing. When they first started, it was very wide open for gyms and stuff, and then people started submitting gyms, and they're all over the place now, so it's fun.
Do you play it all anymore, or are you sort of
occasionally? Me and my buddy, we go to dinner sometimes. We go to a Ruby Tuesday or a Chili's. Chili's that's here, and the Chili's is actually a gym. So we'll sit there while we're in dinner, battling and fighting because we're both yellow. So we're just fighting.
Oh, and represent. I'm yellow as well.
There you go, man. See, and we basically just will sit there for our dinner, defending the gym and fighting people off and stuff. It's fun. It's a blast.
Yeah, like I really enjoy like the community days where like the shiny rates are up. I went out the other day and just like took my dog for a walk, and said to myself, I'll go out for an hour. I ended up being out there for like 3 hours, just like walking around, and I met some people that I've never met before in my own local town. Got added to a Facebook group chat.
The best, man.
Just like
they're the best because you can like.
Cool.
I was in one too, and I'd be driving home from work and just look real quick, and they're like, "Oh, there's a 5-star raid right around the corner," and I'd be like, "I'm on my way," and they'd wait for you. You get there, and there's a whole bunch of people. Boom! That's how I got Mewtwo. I got Mewtwo the last day that he was available, and I was like, "This is crazy, man. This is crazy." So it's fun.
Yeah, because it's cool just to have like that little icebreaker, because you're not going to go up to someone in the street and be like, "Hey, how you going?" Like,
yeah,
they just look at you and go, "What the frig's wrong with you?"
Exactly.
Go away.
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
So, it was early this morning for me. I think it was early this morning for you as well.
Yeah, it was 9 o'clock in the morning for me.
Sakurai announced the new Smash character coming to Smash Ultimate, and that character is Byleth from Fire Emblem. And I gotta say, starting up the stream, watching it, he's talking about how it's dead secret, not even Nintendo employees know about it, and like it's running through my head like, oh, he's had this deal going with this third party. He's got this crazy character, and like when the trailer starts, you're gonna know exactly who it is. And the trailer starts, and it's Byleth. I'm like, it can't. After him saying that, it can't be a Fire Emblem character. Like that's a meme at this point. But just chuck in all the Fire Emblem characters. Need more sword boys. Need more sword girls.
The funny thing is, when it started playing, right, I'm watching, and I see the animated stuff, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, is this going to be from Tokyo Mirage? Like, are they bringing a character from there? And it was like, then all of a sudden it switched. I was like, oh God. The thing is this. I'm very indifferent to it. I'm not shocked. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just, at this point, like, every single time a Fire Emblem character gets announced, like, every single time a Fire Emblem game comes out, we get a character that shows up in Smash. So, I really wasn't too shocked that this character showed up. But I really think that a lot of people, and myself included, thought it was going to be like a big home run to shut it down, you know? I think it's not so much... For me, it doesn't bother me as much because it's not the final character now. We are getting 6 more through the year. But I could see why some people are a little frustrated. But I tweeted about it earlier today, and I was just like, guys, just stop. Like, the attacks, the calling Sakurai names, and just all the stupid stuff that was going on earlier today. And I just feel like this guy, man, damn near kills himself for you people. Like, he tries to do everything he can for the community and tries to make them happy. And I don't feel like this was a Sakurai pick, obviously. I think this was a Nintendo saying, like, hey, we want to put this character in there to promote the game. And who knows? But at the end of the day, you know, the guy, like, really busts his butt to balance the game, balance the characters, keep everything up to snuff. Like, dude, you're over 100 characters now. How in the world does this guy even find the time to, like, just create new characters and then balance them the way he does? It's crazy.
Yeah, like, I feel like with Fire Emblem Three Houses, it's one of the most important games on the Switch, especially for last year. So I remember talking about it with Bryce, like, we do need a Three Houses character in Smash just to represent that game, because it's one of the most important games in the series and on the Switch. So it makes sense that it's there. I just feel, I think people are just disappointed by the lead up. Like, they're all third-party characters. We got Banjo-Kazooie, we got, like, it started off with Joker being like, what? Like, just like scratching their heads, like, is this what potential DLC can be in the future? Yeah. And just, and I guess just naturally everyone sort of assumes, like, all right, the last one, the biggest to last, let's go. Let's see what it is. But once he got into it, he's showing off the character, showing off, like, the different weapons. He's got all the weapons from all of the different house leaders. And the character looks like a lot of fun, and he looks a lot different to other characters in the Fire Emblem series. He doesn't have a counter, and he's got like a, you know, he's down B. He's got like a real heavy weapon. Yeah. He's got his sword, normal sword, which is like his whip. Like, he's got a really unique move set that will be a lot of fun to use. But I just from like the fandom side of things, I can see why people are upset. But like you said though, I don't see why you would feel inclined to harass him. Like, obviously that's what any sane person would say. Yeah. I would hope. Yeah. But if you're that passionate about the game, if you're that passionate a Nintendo fan, like, I don't really get it. Like, I won't say I love Fire Emblem. I really like Fire Emblem. Yeah. So I'm quite happy to see the character in there. But yeah,
I wasn't a huge Three Houses fan. I loved the game before it. Awakening, I enjoyed. You know, but I don't know. I felt like this one was a little different. This one was a lot like a Persona type game. So it took me a little bit out of the mix. That's not what I went in expecting. A lot of chattiness, and I was just like, man, I just want to go play the game. I want to go fight. I want to go battle, and I just felt like it was lacking in a lot of that. So I got to go back and play it because I only put a few hours in. And I couldn't get past all the dialogue and all the running around and go talk to this person and go talk to that person. I was just like, dude, can I just go fight some people, man? Come on, let me go do this. So
we'll see. It's funny because I feel like the complete opposite. Because I really like the aesthetic and everything in Fire Emblem, but I just, as much as I want to get into like the grid-based strategy, it just doesn't do it for me as much as I want it to. Like, I've bought like multiple Fire Emblem games and I haven't gotten through any of them just because, like, it just doesn't scratch my itch like a turn-based strategy like Pokemon or Fire Emblem, Dragon Quest or something like that. That really scratches my itch, as it were. But yeah, I love running around talking to people, getting to know the characters, doing little side quests, doing like the fishing, like all of that stuff. Absolutely love it. The character building, and sort of when it comes to a battle, I sort of just want it to I just want to like press A, like get through it and go back. So it is funny that like we're like complete opposites when it comes to that.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I guess they knew what they were doing. They sold a lot of copies of it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of the best-selling Switch games, which is really good to see for the series. Yeah. And they also brought in some new Mii Fighter costumes.
Yes.
So there's one for Cuphead, the Rabbids, Altar, and various Mega Man games in there. Really excited by the Cuphead one. That looks really, really cool. It actually looks like a character rather than just a costume.
Yes, it feels like I would have loved Cuphead in this game. Like I really feel like that's such a missed opportunity for Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo really dropped the ball with all indie developers. Like I feel like Shovel Knight should be in the game, not an assist trophy. Like Shovel Knight should have had a character, and Rusty from SteamWorld Dig, he should be in there, or Dorothy from SteamWorld Dig 2. I feel like Cuphead should be in there, and I feel like they could really take advantage of the indie scene. But not only that, it would help elevate these indie teams, and it would take them to another level. I mean, you think about it, right? You have developers like Yacht Club, like Image of Form, and you put those characters in a game like Smash, and it helps take that game and elevate it and sell more copies. That company is going to be with you through and through to the end of time, because they're going to be like, hey, you know what? Nintendo really hooked us up with this, so we're going to stay Nintendo loyal till the end of time. And I feel like it would have shored up some deals with some companies that would have been like, we're strictly Nintendo. And I know Yacht Club, they're not Yacht Club, Image Form, they're not strictly Nintendo, but they're typically Nintendo first. So, but this would have been a nice way to get some exclusive stuff that just stayed with Nintendo over time. But whatever, it is what it is. I just would have preferred to see if they could have found a way to put some of those characters in, especially with now, because it's like, well, who else is there? You're starting to hit that point where it's just like, I'm not sure we have many more characters left that you can actually. I mean, there's 6. We know there's 6 more coming, but I don't know who the heck they could do. Yeah,
I guess like with third parties, you've got like Rayman.
Yeah.
You've got Activision for Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. Like I dare say there's a fair few out there, but we've got Banjo-Kazooie. That's the one with a lot of Nintendo clout that everybody wanted.
Yes.
You got Cloud, which was a huge one, representing Final Fantasy, which was home on Nintendo.
Nobody saw that coming. That was just a shocker.
Yeah. Like personally, I don't have any characters where I'm like, I need this in Smash. Like, I am busting my balls waiting for this to come into Smash. It's sort of like, it's kind of like with what was the last fighter? I forgot
Terry Bogard.
Yeah, Terry. Mm-hmm. When he showed him off, I'm like, I don't have any feelings towards Terry.
Yeah.
But sort of in the video showing like all his mechanics and that, I'm like, oh well, he looks like a real fun character to play.
Yeah.
So whatever Sakurai or Nintendo decide to put in the game, I'm just open to whatever it is, just to make it fun to play. Don't make it boring, which I've got no worries about at all.
Exactly, I'm with you there.
Do you consider yourself a big Smash fan or
not at all? I mean, I trophy hunted. So when they pulled trophy hunting out of this game, it really broke my heart. Because to me, that was something I loved to do, was to go collect these little statues. I mean, I think it's part of the reason why I go as crazy as I do for Amiibo and try to track down all the Amiibo that I can. but it's something I've always done. So when I played and they didn't put it in this game, I played for a while, and then I just kind of lost interest. Because that was the thing that drove me to continue to keep going back and back and back and keep playing. And especially on the Wii U with the trophy cases they would have. And I would and I would look through and go like, oh, I got to get this Metroid one to fill this case. Let me go try to find it. And I would go play and find it or go buy it and whatever it was. And it just, I lost that with this because I'm not a good Smash player. I didn't start playing Smash until the Wii Brawl. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people hated that version. And then I did play it on the 3DS, which I liked. I played it on the Wii U, which I liked. Again, trophy hunting the whole time. So when it came to Smash on the Switch, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll try it. I enjoyed it. I just suck. So I get smoked the whole time. So it's just like, this is not fun for me.
Yeah. So that direct when Sakurai sort of said, oh, yeah, there's no trophies in this. We don't have enough resources to put into all the characters and all of this. You would have been pretty heartbroken, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I was too. I sort of went, oh. And I feel like if they just didn't do any new trophies and just put what was in the Wii U version into this, I would have been happy enough with that.
Yeah.
Like, if they didn't make any new trophies, they just like, hey, we're just putting from the Wii U version into this version, and, there's no new trophies. And maybe if they just, like, do them through updates after or whatever it is, I would have been pretty happy with that. But, yeah, because, like, with the spirits, there's no, like, information on the games when the first game was, he's the context of that character in that series. Like, there's none of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm with you.
Yeah, because, like, I really love Smash. I love just the gameplay of it. It's one of those, I reckon it would be probably my desert island game. If I was going to go somewhere, I'll just keep playing it.
Yeah.
They brought out a demo on the 3DS, like, maybe a month or two before that version came out.
Yeah.
And I think I put like 80 hours into the demo.
Oh my God.
I just played it. It was like 2-minute matches. Like, you didn't have a choice. You had a choice of 4 characters, which was Link, Mario, Villager, or Mega Man. And I just played the crap out of it.
It was really good on the 3DS.
Stop.
It was really good on the 3DS. Yeah, I like that a lot.
The controls were like, not necessarily ideal, but they did the job fine enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It was the D-pad, or not the D-pad you could use, whatever. The circle pad was okay. But I had a blast playing on the, it was really good when you had the nub stick on the new 3DS. So that would be like your smash stick, and it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, that was really useful. Yeah, so I guess if you want, you'll probably have more fun just playing the 3DS version than just playing that, getting trophies, doing the Smash run.
Yeah. The Wii U, I enjoyed the Wii U, but I'm not hooking that thing back up. Yeah, I'm not hooking that thing back up. So it's done.
Yeah. Mine is actually still plugged in. It's next to my like PS4 and Xbox One. I'm still sitting there.
I'm half tempted to plug it back in, but there's really not much to play on there anymore.
Yeah.
With Tokyo Mirage coming over, we only have a few games left that could potentially be ported, and I think there's a good chance they're going to get ported. So,
yeah, I think like the only game I would play on it, which I wouldn't play on Switch now, would be the Wind Waker HD and Mario 3D World. I think that's pretty much what's left, at least out of my collection. Oh, there's Pikmin 3.
Yes.
There's a handful on there, but like the bigger ones.
The only ones that are left for me that I would want to play are Pikmin 3, 3D World, and the 2 Zelda games.
Twilight Princess as well.
Twilight Princess and oh my God,
Wind Waker.
Yeah. They're the only 4 that really I gotta have. But that's not enough for me to really get excited about.
Yeah. Yes, poor Wii U. It's funny in hindsight thinking about it, because you've got these good games on there, but man, it was rough. It was so rough. Like, as you would know, you did a podcast about trying to tell them what to do. So.
Yeah. Those some rough times, man.
All right, let's move into sort of the topic of the show. And for the show, I want to talk more about your sort of like your content creation and like, how you got into it and sort of how you look at it, how it fits into your everyday life and how you sort of, how you sort of do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, for me, how I got into it. So I was at the time I was married when I got into it. And my wife was on YouTube and she was doing like home stuff. Like she was doing like hauls and like she'd go to Target and buy stuff and do a video haul on it. And then she'd do like all this like crafting stuff and she'd do videos on it. And she kept saying to me like, you should really do YouTube. And I was like, I don't even know what I would do. And she's like, no, I think you'd be really good at it. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do it on. I have no idea. So then I used to collect statues, Batman statues. And I started to say to her, like, I started watching people on YouTube, and I was like, they do these unboxing things. Like, I could do that stuff. That's simple, right? And so I started trying and did a video, and I was like, oh, man, this is just bad. This isn't for me. I can't do this. And then, like, she kept pushing, kept bringing it up. And then finally I was like, I'd really want a podcast. That's what I want to do. But I had no clue how to start a podcast. So I was like, well, a mini podcast is basically me talking to the camera about games and such. So that's what I started doing. I was watching, I was big into IGN. I was watching Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller and Brian Altano and Per Schneider and Jose Otero and all those guys. And they were inspiring me. And I started doing that stuff, like sitting there talking to the camera about new stuff that was coming out. And then it just steamrolled from there. Then I hooked up with these guys that actually started teaching me how to podcast. And I was like, okay, I can make this a thing. I could do this. So it's been tough. The transition, I've kind of been leaving YouTube behind just because I feel like YouTube is not what it was. It's they're constantly chipping away and making it worse little by little. And it's not anything what it used to be. I used to enjoy going on. Nothing infuriates me more now than like you spend the time, you put a video out, and then like somebody copyright claims it for a stupid sound you have in the video for 10 seconds. And it's like, come on, man. Are we really fighting over little stupid things like this? And then they, because they break laws and they break rules, then they want to do this whole Cuppa thing that's happening now. And it's just like, it's a nonstop continuation of just running into brick walls. It's not what it was. It's changed dramatically over time, and it's just gotten worse, in my opinion. So with that, I look at it and I go, like, what's fun for me? Because that's what I think you have to look at, with content creation. What do you enjoy doing? And if you're not enjoying it, when it gets tough to do, you're going to quit. And to me, that's the key. Like, what do I enjoy to do? I've always enjoyed doing podcasts. Like, to me, it's fun because I feel like it's the closest thing to just sitting around with your friends and talking about whatever the topic is or what you're into. So for me, that's always an exciting thing to do. So, but also for me, after doing it for so long, like, I basically changed up a lot of what I've been doing just because I'm like, I need to be inspired again. And I'm not inspired, or I wasn't inspired. And that was the whole reason why we left if we were in Nintendo, and we started a Cuppa Joe in Nintendo, and why I brought Pat onto Nintendo Talk and refired that back up and started to do stuff with that. But I changed the whole dynamics, the way we're doing stuff. Like, we're doing breakout content. Like, we're taking topics and just putting that up, on YouTube. And, Pat's putting some content strictly on his. Like, he's taking a topic, one or two topics, and he puts on his channel. And I take stuff for a Cuppa Joe and then I put it on my channel. And, kind of trying to treat it as a little bit different animal. But at the same time, like, I feel like, so that's where I feel like you have to be inspired as well. So it's okay in my eyes that after time to take a step back and go, what's working, what's not working, what excites me, what gets me going. This works, this doesn't. I'm backing off of this. I'm going to start doing more of this. And that's what's got me into streaming. I I look at it like this. Like, the one thing that I got into all this for is because I love video games. And I started to find out that I was doing so much content and not playing games. Like, I was literally doing a video on YouTube 5 days a week. Then I was doing 3 to 4 podcasts a week. Right?
Yep.
I wasn't playing any games. I'm like, how am I running around calling myself the Nintendo Guru when I haven't played a Nintendo game in weeks? Because I don't have the time. So I was like, well, that's got to get changed. So I said, you know what? We're going to pull off the YouTube videos and we're going to push Twitch. And to me, I love Twitch because I get to play Nintendo games every single night for 2 hours a night. And I get to play with friends. Win-win all day long. So, and then if I can take some stuff away from that and build off of it, meaning my podcast, and build off of what we're doing during the week on Twitch, it's a win. So I think that's the thing. You need to look at what you're into. And the other thing, too, is, well, let me finish this thought first. So you got to look at what you're doing, figure out what you like, figure out what you enjoy, what works, what doesn't, schedule-wise, and make it happen. The other thing is, a couple other things. You need to focus on it in terms of, like, it's a job. It's a second job. What I do comes before everything. You know what I mean? Like, if my mom says, like, hey, we want to do this on this day, I'll reschedule or schedule around my streaming. Like, my family knows Monday to Thursday, you don't ask me to do anything because I'm streaming. They know Sunday mornings, you don't ask me to do anything because I'm podcasting. But any other time, like, let's go do stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's it. This is a second job to me. If I worked at Best Buy, second job, I can't just be like, no, Mom, sorry, I'm coming over, I'm coming over. No, you're going to say, hey, I can't, I got to go to work. So it's a very similar process to me. The final thing that I would say with it all is it's a marathon. It's not a race. You don't have to kill yourself to have everything look perfect and be perfect. You take your time to get there. Slow and steady. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to go buy all the gear. Like, I go back and I look at my earlier stuff, right? And I cringe when I look at it. But I was loving it and I was having a good time with it. And I didn't have all the lights. I didn't have the boom. I didn't have the mic. I didn't have the camera. I didn't have all the extra bells and whistles. Just take your time to get there. Don't be in a rush. Because you want to make sure you love it before you go spend all that money on it. So.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like, it's definitely a marathon to get there. Because, like, when we first started the House of Mario, we said, oh, yeah, now it's going to be this. And then, like, 10 episodes later, we're like, oh, we should do this. And you're gradually building on it and you're getting to where you're going. And then, like, every year as well, I like, the 2 or the 3 weeks off we take, I sort of, like, look and say, all right, what can we do better this year? And it sort of builds every year from there. So, yeah. I didn't realize it was your ex-wife that got you into doing all this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's nuts because, we just... It's so weird. It was so weird that how she pushed me to it. Because she was doing really well. You know what I mean? Like, she had like 5,000 subscribers on YouTube and like really killing it, And she was growing every day. But she looked at my stuff. And even after we separated and she saw my content that I was doing, she would message me occasionally and be like, my God, your editing is so far advanced from when we started. She goes, I can't believe that you're actually editing this stuff. And this is what you're doing. And there is something therapeutic about editing. Like when you're doing YouTube stuff and you're trying to like do something to make your stuff stand out. It's fun, man. It can be a blast when it's working and it's working well. So, but yeah, she just said to me, like, you can talk. You don't have a problem talking, like, in front of cameras and all that stuff. She's like, I don't see why you don't try it. And I'm like, all right, we'll give it a shot. Here we are, 5 years later, something like that.
Yeah, I just it stood out to me because, like, I don't want to go too much into it. I don't want to go into anything you don't want to talk about.
Yeah, no.
But you did say something about, like, sort of like, something in your relationship that sort of, started the separation was that, you were putting too much time into your content?
Way too much time in my content. That's the thing, too. You got to make sure that whoever you're working with is okay, or who you're living with is okay with it. Because when we started, yeah, but when I was literally putting my relationship on a back burner, see, the weird thing is this, because we didn't communicate, we didn't talk about it. My eyes, I was like, I'm building a future for us. I'm going to bust my butt, and then you can come home from work. But I was thinking that. I wasn't telling her that. Right. And, like, she's sitting there going, like, yo, man, what's going on over here? And I'm sitting there going, like, we're building something here. This is going to be the future for us. That wasn't the future she wanted. You know what I mean? And I didn't know until it was too late, and it was just, the one thing that she said to me, though, when we did finally separate, she had said to me, like, you got to do me a favor. You got to make me a promise. I said, what's that? She's like, you won't stop doing what you're doing. And she's like, because I really, truly believe you're going to blow up one day and do something that you really want to do. And she's like, and I would hate to think that I stopped you from that because of breaking up with you. I will say this. I feel like the content that I created when I was married, YouTube-wise, was far better than when I got divorced. And because at the time, I could totally see where I was starting to build momentum and everything was starting to come together. But because I had drive and I had focus and I had a reason why I was doing it all, it becomes real easy to step back and go, I don't want to do it today because of this reason or that reason. Although I don't, 9 times out of 10, like, I'll come back and I'll record and I'll do what I want to do or I have to do. But when you lose that why, it becomes tough at times. And it's sometimes trying to recapture. So, yeah, it definitely killed me a little bit, but at the same time, like, now I'm refocused, I'm reinvigorated. But it took me a while to see that, So if I were to do it over again, I probably, would have communicated better with her what my plans were and what did she want, and make sure that she was on board with what I wanted. And then the other thing is man, just if you have a girlfriend, you have a wife, man, just be sure to see her through everything it is. Be sure to take a step back once a week and go, hey, this is your day. I'm not going to record. I'm not going to do anything. What do you want to do? And let's go do it. Because that's probably my biggest mistake of it all. Where if I would have just stepped back and said, what do you want to do today? Let's go do something you want to do. Or let's go to dinner. Or let's go to a movie. Or let's go to a park. Or let's go do something. And it wasn't happening. It ultimately wasn't happening. And so I wholeheartedly blame myself for the relationship spiraling and going out of control. But that's, you live, you learn, and it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
And, like, I feel like that's really good advice. Like, I know, I think I know what you felt like. Just like, all right, I've got these 2 podcasts. I want them to improve. This, like, you're spending time thinking about that, executing it. You got your Twitch stream, YouTube, like, all of that. That takes a lot of time out of your week.
Yeah.
And, like, when you're dedicated to, like, just like, I want this. I want this to be my thing. I want this to be successful.
Yeah.
You do lose sight of that, and you take things for granted. And like, I try to keep that in mind. Like, with myself and my girlfriend, like, she's busy. She's got her business during the day, and we've got the time at night. And usually, my time at night after work is the time I can record podcasts and can do that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Like, for like anyone out there that's really driven to do this type of thing. Yeah,
I think the thing too is as crazy as it sounds or whatever, it's just you got to stay humbled and you got to stay focused on the things that are important. when you're looking at things and you're going like, oh man, it would be so good to just be able to do this and not have to listen to somebody want to go do something else. That's all well and good in your head, but when you're alone, it's not the best of things. You know what I mean? Like, you would rather be with somebody than not with somebody. And I think you need to look at that and stay focused to where you are and not really pull back too much from that person. Like, that person is there for a reason. You pick that person for a reason. I mean, look, if everything was to work out and this is all you did, then you would treat it like a 9 to 5. When they went to work, you would work.
Yeah.
And then when they were home, you'd be home. Just like a normal job. What happens is, what I don't think people realize is, when you're trying to become that and you're trying to build to that, you're working your regular job. Like, I work a 9 to 5 job every single day. It's actually 7 to 5. So I'm working 10 hours a day, working 5 hours on Saturday, right? And then trying to do all this in the meantime, you know? And it's like, that's why I say, like, if you're not enjoying this, you're not having fun, get away from it. Like, if you don't love it, if you don't love the microphone, if you don't love the camera, where you're excited to come back and do it, it's not for you. Or it's time to walk away. And I think that you have to pay attention. As much as it is where you have to pay attention to the details to get there, you have to also pay attention to the details when it's time to walk away. And if you're not loving it, it's time to walk away.
Yeah, and like, I know that, like, I really enjoy this type of stuff, because when I'm at work, I'm thinking about, like, what if I got this light and I put it here, and I'm thinking about, like, because I want to start doing more stuff on Twitch, and I'm thinking, like, because I did it a couple of years ago, really enjoyed it, you know, had a webcam and just, like, did the pretty basic setup, but like this year I've got, like, a room where I actually want to, like, set it up properly to sit down and, like, do it. So I'm thinking, like, oh, what if I get this light, put it there? What if I get, like, this soundboard and I can do this and that? And, like, just, like, thinking about, like, what I can do different, or what I can do that would just be lots of fun. Yeah. And, like, you know, that's just going through my head all the time. I'm like, you know, oh, should I get this person on the podcast? Should I do this segment? Like, it's just always in your head. And when you get home, you're like, all right, I want to do this. I'm excited. I've been thinking about it all day. Open up the computer and, but I guess, you've got to sort of be considerate of you know, other people as well.
Exactly.
In your life, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, apart from, like, Twitch, where, like, you really enjoy being able to just, like, you know, it gives you, like, a designated time to be able to play games and, like, hang out with your friends and that. Is there anything else, like, you, like, absolutely love about just making content on Twitch?
I mean, dude, when you have good nights and people are there, and because the way it is, for those who don't know, when you're streaming on Twitch, you have a back end where you're looking at all the numbers. And you see your camera, you see what the people see, you have the chat, you see all the different things, but you're like, you can see how many people are there and all that stuff. And I think what's got me excited now is, as I'm moving forward, my numbers are slowly starting to increase. Mm-hmm. So when I'm playing a game, and you're like, you're doing the game, you're playing, you're doing your thing, and then you look down at the number and you go, oh, there's 5 people there. Good. And you keep playing. And then you look back down and you go, holy cow, there's 10 people here. Okay. And then you look down, it's like 18, 19. And it's like, what is happening? You know? And like, just last Saturday, I did a birthday stream, and we streamed for 4 hours. Dude, it
Great
was,
stream, by the way. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, I had like 30 people there, right? Insanity, the amount of people that showed up. And then at one point, Miss Click raids my stream, brings in 100 people, and like, they're all subbing to me, which in the world of Twitch, a sub means they're giving me $5 a month. They're subscribing to my channel. So I'm getting subs and gift subs, which means, like, if you're a subscriber, you can then pay for somebody else and give a gift so they can try it out for a month and be sub to you. And I'm like, I literally had no idea what was going on. It literally brought me to tears, because I was just like, this is madness. Like, to see this success. Not only that, when you start to see the same people showing up night after night after night, and excited to stream with you because they just want to play with you, that's when you realize, like, I love this. That's when I go, like, I love this. I love hanging out on Twitch, streaming, and it's totally different animal from YouTube. YouTube is it's a rush to get the content out. Then you got to make some stupid clickbait topic to get people to come check out your video. And then nobody comes and checks it out, or a bunch of people check it out, and they're yelling at you in the comments, and you're fighting. And it's like a different battle every single day. And it's like, I'm so tired of that rat race, that to do this and just play games and have a good time with friends, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah, like when I'm in your chat, like I'm always seeing the same people.
Yeah.
Seeing like Joey Splats, Blend Explosion, like you're seeing like all the same guys, and it's like it's nice from like my point of view too, like coming in, like seeing like the same people, and just being able like to be familiar and be able to like chat with people. It's really cool.
Yeah,
nice sense of community, and like what you said about the numbers as well. Like you said, like, oh, it's good seeing like the numbers go up, but it also works the other way too. Like, oh, I've got 5 people.
Yeah, it does.
I've got 3 people.
It does work the same way. But you know what though? It also, if you're conscious of it and you're watching, it tells you what works and what doesn't work. If you're conscious to it and you're paying attention, if you're doing stuff on camera or on the games or whatever, and you're seeing the numbers dipping, they're leaving for a reason. Obviously, you're doing something they're not happy about. Now, don't get me wrong. There's times when people they got to go. They got to do stuff. You know what I mean? But you got to be, and that's where you have to be conscious of, like, well, okay, this guy's going to dinner. This guy's got this to do tonight. But at least they showed up, you know? But, like, if you can get people to come out and hang out and stay there for long periods of time, then you go, okay, this is pretty exciting. So, yeah, it can work the other way. But it can also help you course correct. Like, hey, man, I must have done something wrong. You know what? I'm not talking enough. Like, I've had that scene. Like, I'm going in and I'm running my mouth and people are showing up and they're hanging out and they're talking. And then I start playing a game and I'm paying attention to the game so much that I realize I'm not talking. And I look over and I see my numbers dipping. And I'm like, I got to get back into this rhythm. Start talking about something. So,
yeah.
You know.
Because you got to think about it like someone like jumping in, clicking on your name, your stream pops up. And it's just like, you know, you sitting there, you're playing, say, Splatoon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, yeah, no, he doesn't seem to be talking much. And they go to someone else who is talking and engaging with the chat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so with, like, you do your Twitch, YouTube, and podcasts, and you tie it sort of all into one with your Patreon. You do You, Me, and Capri with Sean Capri, your partner on A Cup of Joe and Nintendo.
Yes.
So how do you guys sort of approach your Patreon? Like, we have a Patreon as well, and I guess we sort of approach our Patreon just like trying to give back as much as possible to the people that do enjoy our content, and also obviously try and, you know, raise some money to be able to like do things like traveling, upgrading gear, just like, you know, all the boring stuff, pay fees mainly. SoundCloud or whatever it is. Yeah,
wherever you're at, For me, I guess the way I approach it is, I mean, dude, I never want to do a Patreon. Never even cared about it. Just like, I don't want to do this. I don't have time for this. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to feel obligated to owe people stuff. And people just started coming up, or like reaching out to Sean, reaching out to me, and just like, hey man, I want to help. I want to give you money. How do I help you do or pay for some of this stuff? And they were like, do you have a Patreon? And I'm like, no. And then finally, like, one day me and him went to each other and we're just like, dude, I'm thinking about starting a Patreon because there's so many people that want to give me money to help pay for a lot of the stuff that I do. What do you... And Sean was like, the same. And he was like, do you want to merge? And we're like, yeah, let's just merge together, do something together. And that's what we did. But ultimately, I guess the idea is it's a way to pay respects to some of your most loyal fans. But the one thing I learned, honestly, about Patreon is the people that follow me on Patreon are totally different than the people that follow me on Twitch. And they're totally different than the people that follow me on YouTube. They're all different animals, and they got to be treated differently across the board. You can't take what you do on Twitch and think it's going to work with the Patreon people, and you can't do what works with the Patreon people and think it's going to work on YouTube. Everything's differently. Everything's handled differently. But the idea is to try to give what you can. The main thing for me is I try not to. I don't like locking stuff behind paywalls. I kind of hate that. So one of the main things was like, listen, let's try not to lock stuff behind paywalls. Like so we kind of pulled away from that. The only thing we do that is locked behind a paywall is You Me Capri, the podcast, and Sean has a podcast as well that he does, the Pants Patreon podcast that he does. But those two things are the two things that are basically locked behind a paywall. But for me, I don't like that because I don't like to feel like I have to give you money in order to see what you're doing. So, and I know there's people out there that do that, and that's fine. If that's what you believe you want to do and that's how you want to work it, then that's the beauty of Patreon. Everybody can do it the way they want to do it, and some people are successful with it and some aren't. And some people find success doing something differently than the way I do it. And I find more success than people that do it the other way. And, but for me, it's like, I just want to be able to give something. So, like, giving them the content early access, I like doing that. I feel like that's a good way to pay people back for being a loyal supporter. But that's the main thing behind Patreon for me. It's like, how can I do something nice or extra for the people that really love and support us and show up to all the streams and show up to all the podcasts and all that? And how do you do that? And that was the whole aspect behind it. Like, how do we take it a step further to do something nice for people? Because that's my thing. I like to try to do stuff for people where I can and help people where I can. I've always kind of been that way since I've been doing content creating. If I can give away something, I'll give it away wherever I can. When I was heavy into collecting amiibo, when the craze was going, if I saw ones that were rare, I'd grab them and then, like, reach out to the community and be like, hey, man, who needs this? And I never charge people for anything. I always just give it away because that's not my belief. I'm not here to make money off your backs. You know what I mean? Like, your support means the world to me. This is the way that I can give you back and show you thank you for that. So I've given away so many amiibo. I've given away so many eShop cards. I've given away so many Nintendo Online. You know, but that's just something that I do, and it's a way for me to also get up close and personal with some of what I consider to be friends. I don't like the word fans. I don't like any of that stuff. And I consider the people that support me more like friends and family, you know?
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Yeah.
The people that know me, like, I'm me. I'm no different when I turn on the camera to stream on Twitch as I am when you talk to me in a DM on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever, or when you podcast with me and whatever. So I feel like I'm the same person across the board always. That's just me. And what you see is what you get. And I think that's what's always been helped me to be successful in all that I do is just try to be genuine. Just try to be the best version of you at all times. Not going to be perfect. You're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to say stuff that you shouldn't say and do stuff you shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, just try to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And I think if you do that, everything else will just fall into line.
It's definitely set up to be that way with, like, just on Patreon, like, say, like, we can do, like, a little bit extra, like what you said about the paywall. I do agree with that, but, like, since we set up our Patreon, we're sort of like, oh, what can we do extra for, say, like, you know, the handful of people that have decided to come here? And sort of I guess not the easiest way for that is, like, you know, exclusive content. But at the same time, that is definitely the way where, you know, you get the best bang for your buck. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And, like, what you're saying about, like, you know, being genuine, like, you know, that's what podcasts and listening to podcasts is all about. Like, it's funny, like, you know, I've been listening to you on your podcasts, you know, for a couple of years plus now. And, you know, I feel like, you know, I know you pretty well, even though I've only, you know, talked to you in person, or not in person, but, you know, face to
video,
face
yeah,
or
yeah.
screen to screen.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of times now. Like it just, it gives that more personal connection. So you got to remember that. So if you're not being genuine, and you know people don't have any reason to listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm. All right. Was there anything else you want to touch on about your content creation before I let you go? Or
I think we got it all. I think I do.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there then, Bobby. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
It's a lot of fun.
Drew, man, thank you for having me. Seriously. And it's always a good time talking to you. It's an honor to be here. Really, I love the name of the show. I love the show. You guys do a fantastic job with it. Just stay away from Seamus Mullins a little bit more in your life, and everything will be better. You'll be happier for it.
Oh, tell me about it. That boy drives me nuts, I tell you what.
I love Seamus. He's a good guy.
I'll clip this out and send it to him. See what
Yeah.
he has to say about that. And I got through without a cough too.
There you go,
So-
man. Good stuff.
Don't have to edit that out. Thank God.
That's good.
I've had it tickling in the back of my throat the whole time. But now when we hit the stop button, I can cough my guts up.
There you go. That's a good thing.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario, episode 129. If you enjoy the show, you can help us out by doing some of these things. You can subscribe on your podcast player of choice. You can set the House of Mario to auto-download so you never miss an episode. I've got a list here, which didn't come up. I've got it written down, Bob, because, you know, I forget these things.
It happens.
You can leave an iTunes review. You can suggest us to your fellow Nintendo nerd friends in person or via social media. And you can go and check out patreon.com/iDruby for the perks and rewards over there. Bobby, where can people find your content?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, at Nintendo Gurus. Find me on YouTube, Nintendo Guru, and on twitch.tv/Nintendo Gurus.
All right, and you can find all of those links in the show notes below. And Nintendo Jukebox this week is a Fire Emblem Three Houses theme remix via Vetrom. And until next week, the doors to the House of Mario are closed.